In today's show, just a quick reaction to the news that John Wall will no longer be playing for the Houston Rockets. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. I thought I'd do a quick show here with the news about John Wall, because it is pretty big. I was skeptical that they would just say, don't play, John. You've got 2 years, $90+ million left on that contract. Obviously, development is key, but yeah, I just didn't think that they'd be just telling him to sit around and wait for a trade, which I don't really see how is coming on this team, to be honest. Like, who's got the contracts to pay to match $40+ million for John Wall? Maybe the Thunder could do that with just their cap space, but they're not going to want to just do that. And that would then require draft picks coming away from Houston, which I don't think they're going to want to do that either. It's hard to find the team that's going to trade for him. Maybe they do come to some sort of buyout agreement here for John Wall, but honestly, it's a situation where I don't think he's going to be playing really anytime soon, and I don't think it's going to be via a trade. I just don't see who can cobble together that much salary that's going to make sense for a team that wants John Wall, and who wants John Wall at this point. It is a really tough scenario. I think John Wall makes him pretty much undraftable through fantasy leagues for this season. We'll talk about the impact it has on the Rockets in a second, but I got to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by DirecTV. Does this sound familiar? You got one device where you watch your live sports. You watch that on your TV, and you got another thing where you log in to get your on-demand programs, and then you watch your highlights on your phone, and then you get your neighbors log in for somewhere else. It's so much clutter. It's all over the place. There's just hassle, there's confusion, there's devices, there's remotes. You need to get your TV together. And the way to do that is with DirecTV Stream. It brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and TV shows all in one place. No more juggling remotes, and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required, and content varies by package. While you're watching your game on the TV, the best thing that you can be eating is the best tasting protein bar ever. It is Built Bar. Built Bar has so many delicious flavors, whether it's cookies and cream, raspberry, strawberry, orange, salted caramel, whatever it is, plus the limited edition ones they throw out there as well. You are sure to find a flavor that suits you. And if you don't know which one your favorite is, get a mix box and you get to try them all and then find out what your favorite is. But these aren't just delicious. These are also good for you. 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories per bar, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Built Bar are the delicious and healthy treat that you didn't even know that you were looking for. And even if you were looking for them, here they are. They're bang right here for you. So get them at Built.com. By using our promo code LOCKED15, you can save 15%. So go to Built.com and get yourself a box or boxes of the best tasting protein bars ever for 15% off using our code LOCKED15. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. We're back and better than ever. All eyes on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your number one spot to bet on all pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, betonline.ag continues to be your number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double the initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use that promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, boxing, and right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports action. BetOnline, your online sportsbook your online sportsbook experts. That's the catchphrase. All right. Let's talk Houston Rockets. So I think they're going to bring in someone at some point because at the moment there's only 2 point guards on the roster. It's cousin Kevin Porter Jr. and it's DJ Augustin. That's it. They're the point guards. And you want a third guy there unless you're counting Armani Brooks, who's on a non-guaranteed deal. He's not really a point guard. Kyrie Thomas, who's there, again, not really a point guard. They do have Daisha Nix in camp. Maybe they bring him as the third point guard. Not to say these guys are going to play a huge amount, but there's going to be some sort of movement at some point. They do have an open roster spot, so maybe one of those guys can get that opportunity. I'd like to see them give it to Nix just to see what he can do. He was okay for the G League last year. In terms of where the value goes, well, I think what we have to look at is their starting lineup now going to be Kevin Porter at point guard, Jalen Green at shooting guard. I think it'll be the wild thing, Jae'Sean Tate moving to the 3, and then Daniel Tice and Christian Wood at the 4-5. It could be Daniel House in there, and it could be House, Tate, Wood with Tice coming off the bench. I do think Tice will start, though. It could be Eric Gordon, although I'd have to say that Eric Gordon's future in Houston is looking pretty rocky at this point, and I wouldn't expect him to play a sizable role this season. He'll have some role, I guess, but I thought the same with Wall. And here, Gordon's contract is way easier to buy out or to move, so don't invest into Eric Gordon. So I think we're looking Porter, Green, Tate, Tice, Wood. And then coming off the bench, you're going to have House, Kenyon Martin Jr. gets a bump there, probably Gordon, Augustin, and Alperen Sengun. That'll be my guess for how the rotation goes. I think this boosts up these guys quite a bit. I think we're looking at Christian Wood as an end of the third round guy now. Maybe early fourth round, but he takes a big step forward. Yeah, more usage, probably comes the highest usage guy on the team, I'd say. Really, really helps him out. Kevin Porter, I think, jumps from being a guy where you would have seen his projected rank at like 100 or something, but you would have heard me say about him quite a bit, like I'm happy to grab him in the 70s and 80s, and I think that's about the right spot. And if you want to go higher, because we saw him struggle to put up the same numbers when he played alongside John Wall. So that's why you're trying to balance those projections out with Wall being there for even, say, half a season, dropped his numbers down. Wall's there for none of the season. So Porter's assists are going to rise. He averaged 10.5 assists per 100 possessions last season when Wall was off the court. I think that can rise even to maybe 11 this year with more options around him like Wood and Green for full seasons. So I think we're going to see big assist rise from Porter. He will still have some efficiency problems. He's still going to have issues with lack of steals, but he gets a bump in usage as well. I think we're looking at Kevin Porter as at worst a top 80 player. At worst, would be my guess, is in category leagues. In points leagues, Kevin Porter, no problem inside the top 50. I'd happily go inside the top 40 for him. And I think Wood in a points league, we're looking top 30 sort of range. I think 6th or 7th round for Porter is totally fine. I think Jalen Green gets a huge boost. Right, he's going to get a big usage spike. I think he's going to get an assist spike as well. He would have been a guy that I'd look at in that 100 to 120 range. Now, I think we're looking in the 80 to 95 range. It's always a worry with rookies, and we worry about where the efficiency lies. But I think that he moves into that at least 80 to 100 type area, which is where his ADP has been. So a big boost for him. The wild thing, Jae'Sean Tate goes from a fringe last round guy who we weren't sure where the minutes were going to fall for him to being a guy that I'd happily take 9th or 10th round. Your real boost to his value, an extra 3 or 4 minutes per game, more assists per game, more usage per game. All of that goes up for Tate. Sengun, I think, gets a little bit more value, and I'll tell you why. I know Wall plays the 1 and Sengun plays the 5, but this is why I think Sengun gets a boost in value. Because when you have no Wall, so Porter moves down a position, right? He moves down from the 2 to the 1. So, we're sliding him down there. That's self-explanatory. You have Jalen Green moves from the 3 to the 2. All right, and then what you have is you got that opening there at the 3. And I think what that means is you get Jae'Sean Tate moving in there. Now, part of my issue with trying to find enough minutes for Sengun before was you had Christian Wood and Daniel Tice who would start. And then you'd have guys like Kenyon Martin and Jae'Sean Tate have to play minutes in that front court because it was a bit crowded up on the wing and the 2 and the 3. But if Tate's going to be able to play almost exclusively at the 3, same with Daniel House, then it opens up those front court minutes for Tice, for Wood, for Martin, and for Sengun. We don't worry about House pushing in. We don't worry about Tate pushing in as much. So it boosts Sengun, and I would love, and I think he's going to be awesome. I would love to see Sengun starting next to Wood instead of Tice. Happily take him with a last pick, especially in a 14-team league. I would take Sengun. In a 12-teamer, I don't hate grabbing him with a last pick, just to see what they do. If they play him 24 minutes a night, opening night, Sengun, then it's on. And he's going to be getting 28 by the end of the year. And he's going to be fine. So I think that boosts his value as well. So I think we look at those 5 guys, Wood, Porter, Green, Tate, Sengun, as nice 12-team league guys. Happy to look at Tice as an end of the 13th round sort of player. I think his upside is pretty low. Kenyon Martin, probably more deeper leagues. I don't think he's going to push into a large enough role, but he could. So he's a name to watch as well. I'm not really investing in House or Gordon. Yeah, House is already 28. Gordon, of course, is going to turn 33 in a few months' time, so not a huge amount that I'm looking at with those guys. But that's how we're looking at that. There is also an opportunity now for Joshie Christopher to jump into that rotation. Not expecting him to be much of a 12-team or 14 or 16-team league guy, but at least more of a regular player. But significant boosts to Wood, to Porter, to Green, to Tate, and to Sengun in this situation now that John Wall is out in Houston. So that'll do it. Just a little mini show there talking about the situation in Houston. I'll be back later on with a full show on sleepers later today and then a mock draft tomorrow. So get ready for those. And the best way to make sure you don't miss is by following Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, and on YouTube. Thumb it up, leave a comment, tell me what you think down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.